Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. These are eyeshadow palettes I wanted to use again. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Every single month, I not only test out new eyeshadow palettes, but I also like to go back to older ones that I've tested out before to see if I still like them as much, and sometimes just to be able to use these palettes again. And I'm like, you know, if I make content with it, I actually push myself to do this as well. So that's where this this video comes from. And there are some more recent things in here, but also some older things that I was like, oh yeah, I really need to use that again and see how things go. So one of these is on my lids today as well. So let me take a trip down memory lane and go back to some of these older palettes. I do have to say though that I've been able to do one look with every single palette when I'm filming this video. However, before this video goes live and I have a chance to edit it, I will have done 3 additional looks with one of these palettes. So you will see more than I know currently, but I know what my favorites are with that palette anyway, so I know what those looks are going to turn out because some of these things are very much my comfort zone and palettes I reach for at least every year or that you know are some of my favorites. So let me start off with that one of those old favorites that I had sort of forgotten I owned, and I mentioned it in a recent video and I was like, ooh, this fall I need to go back to my Limecrime Venus XL. This is the original, this is the big guy. I have the Venus XL 2 as well in my makeup collection still. And these are the only 2 Limecrime things that I still have in my active makeup collection. I have the Venus Immortalis in my makeup memory box because I did really enjoy Limecrime shadows over the years, but nothing was super unique compared to other things I still have. So, but this is. I've always called this the Mono Renaissance on steroids. It's giving you all the berry tones, but not the neutrals that the Modern Renaissance had. This was such a beautiful palette, yet again. And someone left a comment in my Shop My Stash saying that theirs got really powdery and that they can no longer use it, but mine is still fine. It's felt smooth going on. I do have to say though that I didn't use this deeper shade. This is actually one of my favorite shades in the palette, but this has been weirdly textured since the start. So it was like back in the day when these brands didn't really know how to do these pigments really well, and they could sometimes feel a little bit rough and powdery. And I felt like that Botticelli shade has always felt that way. This time round, I went for something that is a little bit out of the norm for me when using this palette. I very often go for like these pinky tones here, this as liner, and then I use something like this all over the lid and this as like on the lower lash line. That's usually my go-to with this palette, but because that's what I'm going for all the time, I was like, you know what? I need to delve into some of the warmer tones that this has. So I went in with this, very unlike me, and then I used this shade all over the lid, and I ended up doing, I think, which one was it? I don't remember. But I was using, I think I used this as well, and then this in the inner corner. It was such a pretty look. I felt really good wearing that. I was like, oh. But I can also see why this feels a little old and outdated, especially for what this palette has to offer. There's just not a single metallic in here. Every shimmer in here is a satin. So if you still have this and you do love a satin, give this another chance because nothing in here is truly going to pop. Not like what I've got on my lids today that looks really vibrant and you can even see it from this distance. This feels a little bit more muted down, a little bit more sophisticated in terms of the shimmers we're getting. And yeah, it just has some beautiful shades in. I need to go back to this again in 2026. This is going to stay in my makeup collection for sure because that's why I wanted to test it out again because I was like, not sure if the quality is still the same. And I was like, not sure I still want to wear something like this. But now I've put it on my eyes again and I'm like, oh, this is such a good palette. I need to keep this in because it's just a really good staple to have. Is this getting old and is it almost past its prime? I do think that's the case. This may expire on me in the next year or so. But with powder shadows, you can keep them for a long time. If you keep them in a dry, dark place, those are things, don't keep this in a bathroom. please don't, because then things will get moldy really easily. Go in with clean brushes and clean fingers. That helps as well. And what I have found from having a bigger makeup collection is if you don't open up your products all the time, they stay airtight, and you're not, like, this is not airtight packaging, of course, but they're not exposed to air as much, which also helps with keeping products for longer, I find. So if you have one palette that you use every single day, they are more likely to expire over time than when you're rotating through things regularly and you keep them safe in a nice little corner of your house and they're not exposed to light or air too much. You can actually keep things that are powder products for a very long time without them giving you like pink eye or becoming unsanitary to use. I know a lot of people think it is, but with eyeshadow, unless the formula changes, if, you know, the smell changes, if the way they apply changes, if, you know, you get any sort of irritation once you put them on the eyes, very often instantly, that's when you know you should stop using them. But this was fine. I wore that look all day and went to the gym and it was still on at the end of the day. I mean, I live for shades like that. Next up is Cheeryep's Floating Life palette. I have been raving about Cheeryep. I have 3 of their palettes now, and they are kind of itching my brain to get a couple more because I love their formula so much. This is a Chinese beauty brand that has actually gotten cheaper. Like this, when I first bought it, was like 45 euros, and now everywhere I look, you can get their palettes for like 25. And I'm like, thank you. It can be done. And the Fleeting Floating Life, it has different names on different websites, so I'm never sure, is a beautiful, grungy, cool-toned color story, which is rare. It's very rare to find something that is grungy, that doesn't have too many warm tones in. This has some interesting shimmers in. I love using this all over the lid. It's a holographic shimmer. You can see the dent in there already. Really pretty. These are very small pans, I have to say, but especially these like purpley tones, this in the inner corner, it's just such a good, like, deeper glammed up look, but without it being over the top. This is really easy to use eyeshadow formula. I've confirmed for myself how much I love Cheeryep. Of course, I did test out one of their palettes quite recently as well, the Steel Heart, which is their cool tone palette. They do so many wonderful things. They also do more interesting color stories. Cheeryep is definitely a brand to look out for if you're looking for really high shine, impactful eyeshadow and you don't want to pay like indie brand pricing for it. I definitely think that this is a really good, excellent, more unique color story in my makeup collection, and I just can't get enough. An eyeshadow palette that didn't give me any issues, but that has gone a little bit powdery on me, so this is one to watch to see if the formula changes any further, but it's my Angelica Nyqvist collab with Kaleidos, the Club Nebula. This is, again, an older palette in my makeup collection, and I just realized that I just hadn't used this for a while. I do tend to go for the same thing, though. Every single time I use it, I always use this in the crease. This time, I think, yeah, I use this, like, light lilac with it, and then this in the inner corner, and then this as liner and on the lower lash line. Like, I think maybe I put the blue on the lower lash line. I've already forgotten. It's been a week since I did that look. But yeah, I kind of ignore these reddish peach tones. That's just not my vibe. I do like these 3. Like, these 3 with the blue shimmer are really fun too. So I know I did that look a couple of times, but I just always go for this middle row and this, and sometimes this. And then maybe the blue or the green for like an accent color liner type of thing. So it is a bit of a one-trick pony for me by now, and I just, every single time I open this, I just want to do the same thing. So as adventurous as this was when I first got it, I was like, I'm not too sure. And like I said, this matte, when I was using it in the crease, it did feel a little bit powdery compared to the last time I used it. And also this, like, the way I would like to describe it when I feel a palette is past its prime is when the eyeshadow becomes a little sugary. You know, if you have very, very finely milled sugar just before it becomes powdered sugar, like that very finely milled, sugary, grainy sort of texture, that's a sign that your eyeshadow is falling apart and it's no longer being held together by the binding agents that are in the product. And usually when those expire, that's when the brand, like the pigments may still be okay because pigments don't really expire, but the binding agents that hold them together and that allow you to use them quite easily do. So I do think my Club Nebula is getting there, unfortunately. But this is a beautiful palette. I would never declutter this. This is probably going to go into a makeup memory box if it does get to that point. The thing that's on my eyes today is the Poison Garden by Bella Beauté bar. And you may be wondering, Micah, why are you wearing the most boring look you could do with this? I just wanted to see what would happen if I put some of the neutrals together in this palette, because that's something I hadn't done. When I first tested this out last year, I really sort of like, I think I did 4 looks with it. I did like a green look, I did like a berry look, I did a warm toned look, and I did like a blue teal sort of look kind of thing. So I sort of mixed and matched the colors that were close together in the palette, and I definitely wanted to see what would happen if I did a little bit more than that. I was considering, but didn't go for it, to use some of these blue tones in the look I did today just to add a bit of interest, but I actually need to film quite a few videos today because I will be traveling soon, and I was like, do I want to go for that? I was like, no, because it doesn't go with another video I want to film. So that was the reason why we went with something quite neutral. But like I said, I hadn't done that neutral look yet with this palette. So what I ended up doing is using this in the crease. This is on the lower lash line. This is used as liner. And then I use this one all over the lid. So pretty much all of the cool tones with this like neutral, like holographic shimmer. It's really interesting. It's got a hint of green, a hint of silver. It seems to have a little bit of like a blue flash. It's really pretty, and it has this multi-dimensional sparkle to it. So I love putting that all over the lid. I don't think you can tell from here. And then I actually use my face highlighter in the inner corner because as I was using this again, I was like, what did I do when I was testing this out for the first time for inner corner highlight? Because it doesn't have that much going for it. Maybe this. But that shade is so special and different that it's almost a shame to not like put it all over your face. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do really like this. You heard me raving so much about the Poison Garden this fall. It's one of my favorite grunge tone palettes. I believe the brand still stocks it, so something to look out for in case you were wondering. And yeah, this palette put Bella Beauté bar on the map for me. And I've confirmed myself again that this is a lot more versatile than I gave it credit for at first, because I can also do something really basic with just, you know, some neutrals to set up the look and a fun shimmer all over the lid. And that's usually what I go for. So shades like this palette is just a lot more versatile than I had given it credit for. So another reason to love this palette hard. And then I think this has become like a regular thing in November where I select Subculture from ABH with some singles that are all multichromes from my singles collection. Let's discuss Subculture by ABH. You guys know about me. I ignored this half of the palette. Like I kind of ignored these 4 shades, this shade, and then I kind of reach for all of these mattes. And I find that they work really well with multichrome shimmers. So we'll talk about the multichromes in a sec. And this is the palette where I've done only 1 look so far, and I've done the most basic look that I could possibly think of with this palette so far, but I still want to do some of the fun ones in the next week. I always love doing a look with Mercury all like up in the crease and then just using a shimmer with it. That's the basic look I've already done, but I love Access and I love Rowdy. I love this green. Ooh, I love this green as well. So I still need to sort of do a couple of looks to get more use out of this palette as well. And then using these multichromes with it. This shade is the one that I paired with Mercury this time round. I don't know where this shade came from anymore. It doesn't have any sort of name, but you can see here on the packaging that it has actually stained it. And when I was trying to use it, it was so weird. I don't know where this came from or what it's supposed to do. I was like, okay, that looks really pretty. It's more of like a neutral shade compared to everything else. So let me pair that with Mercury. It was a really stunning look, but the formula of that shade is so weird. It's like gel. It doesn't feel nice. I could not pick it up with a brush. That's why it was like pressed up on the sides. And it got transferred to the lid because this shade just won't stay put. It's so creamy So it also got a little creasy. So I know that this shade, I think I can put it back into the palette, of course, but this shade I'm going to declutter because I don't like the texture as pretty as it is. Can we take a moment? Like, it's a really beautiful shade, but like I said, I still need to use Rowdy. A shade like this is going to work really well with that. A shade like this is going to work really well with Access. And I think I want to put some of these together as well in a look, so I will have used all of these multichromes. I believe this is Pink Frog from Glam Shop. This is a Divina shade. These are all Clionadh. I know those don't need decluttering for sure. This is Forge. This is Oculus. And this one, I forgot. Wait, where, what? Oh, yeah, Grisaille. So, Oculus, Forge, Grisaille, Divina, Paralucia, I think it was. Yeah, Paralucia, and then Pink Frog, and the No Name shade. So I love these shades, and I know I love pairing Forge with like this mustard yellow shade, like this, and then blending it with Access, and then adding Oculus is so pretty. I definitely think I want to do like a mix of Mercury and Rowdy with like Grisaille, and then do like another look with like some of these warm tones and some of the other multichromes I have. I still need to do my eyeshadow for 3 or 4 days before you will see this video. So I only managed to do that one look. But I was like, it doesn't matter very much because I've done this combo so many times and I've paired these particular multichromes with these particular mattes in the past as well. So I know what's going to come out of it. I love this. It was good to have this extra sort of shade in. Oh, now it's like, it's doing it again. I was like, oh, now it's clean. No, it's not. I need to press it back into the pan. But it's so weird. It's so, like, I'm not sure if you can see, but it kind of like bounces. Let me see if I can show you this. Ooh, where's my finger? It kind of like gets stuck to your finger like a gel, and it kind of like just pulls together. It's such a weird shade. I don't know what to do with that. I didn't know I had shades like this. I normally don't like these super creamy formulas. I think I pulled this out of a palette. I don't think I actually bought a shade like this as a single. I would remember that. And this doesn't have any shade name on it, so I don't know where it came from anymore. But yeah, that shade is just a bit too weird to be used. But yeah, beautiful multichromes. I'm definitely going to be using these a little bit more to create some looks with. And you will see the results of that already in this video today. Those were the eyeshadow palettes I wanted to go back to this month. Quite colorful, I have to say. And December is going to be the festive season, so I already know I want to do all the cool tone neutrals next month. Because I love a cool tone neutral look with like a red lip. I just do. So that's what I want to go for. So stay tuned and see in my Shop My Stash what palettes I will be checking out for December, and then I will show you in December what palettes I went back to and whether I still like them, yes or no. Let me know in a comment down below what older eyeshadow palettes you still really love and you want to go back to all the time. I would love to know, and then I really hope to see you again very, very soon in a new video. Bye-bye!